Hey everybody, welcome to The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantelleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com and click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, brainstorm, collect some ideas, and come up with some great solutions. After all, the planet is in trouble, and we live on the planet. I'm also published in several places: ByeByeBlueSky.com, GagCanada.com, Brian396.com, and as well as AugmentedForce.com. As well as you can go on the YouTube channel and see all kinds of things there. There's also another person that's publishing there. Her name is Smulavete, Smuluvet. You can check her out, check out her information as well. She's putting it out there. It never ceases to amaze me how, when we do research and we're looking at things in regard to, getting information out and trying to get people to actually look at things and seeing things, and everybody goes, "Oh, you're crazy, you're nuts," and everybody hears this, right? I mean, everybody hears that how crazy you are, how nuts you are. Where you are and how stupid you can be. Oh, man, you're taking this to an extreme, and oh, man, you are, blah, blah, blah. Oh, geez, I don't want to hear it. I got enough on my plate, and all that nonsense, right? And I also say, many a time, all you can do is tell people the truth and walk away. That's it. You're not there to convert anybody. You're not there to pound it into them. You're there to tell it the way it is, and then let the truth do its thing. And I've often said this many a time. But it's always nice to know that when you're doing the research and you find more and more research validating what you've been saying, and not only finding that research, but finding how much farther they've gone. Because a lot of times you have to kind of connect the dots in the research you're reading. But when they come out right out and say what they're doing and what you've connected, and they're validating those connections, it's like holy jumping. We're a lot further up the road than anybody can consider. We're further up the road than we even can imagine. So anyway, today I found something I'm going to talk about in regarding and how they can take particles, nanoparticles, shatter them. They call them syncells. 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 They're going to turn us into sinners. They're going to make sinners out of us by putting in these syncells inside the body, which are there. They're there. And how they can create these cells to fabricate anything they want. Now, we've been telling you for the longest times about mimetics and how things can be mimicked, and how they even tell you in the research, which I'll read in a little bit, how they can act and look like blood and you wouldn't know it. So a lot of us would have this technology in our bodies, this biotechnology, if you will. And it could be in the bloodline, blood cells, blood flow, and you wouldn't know it. Early on, back in the day, back years ago when we were first getting into the nano, a lot of women were contacting me and telling me that their vaginal discharge or the vaginal time of the month, that what they were seeing wasn't blood. No longer blood. It was this coagulation of this goo coming out of them. And I figured there was probably something to do with the nano, quantum dots, dendromeres, or some sort of construct with origamis or whatever. And now I know it was basically fragmented materials that they created to embed itself into the blood. So this is why I'm always really pursuing very hard the need to protect your DNA and your genetic code. Everything about us that makes us what we are is being compromised. Everything. DNA, genetic code, mitochondria, ATP, your enzyme production, antioxidant production, respiratory systems, nervous systems, and the list goes on. Tissues, cells. And it's a form of mutation or de-evolution. I think it could go either way. I think on one hand, this type of technology can reverse the DNA so that you could actually revert back to something else, or be made into something else, or whatever you may have evolved from may return you to or turn you to it. Or it may go the other way, where it can evolve you or devolve you, depending on how you look at it, to something completely different. Something more usable as a form of biotech. You could look at it that way too. Some of us would call it transhuman. Some of us would call it mutations. Some of us would call it de-evolution. I don't think it's that clear cut where this is going. I think it all depends, on the people and individual they afflict, and the frequencies they're modulating, and how they're accessing. This is something out of a horror movie, is what this is. This is something out of a horror movie. And we are looking at a horrific circumstances that's going on right now in regard to our capacities to be who we are, what we are. So anyway, when I was looking at this, I thought, okay, I'm going to talk about this tonight, and I want to show you guys something. Those of you in the chat room, I will give you this link. You may find this somewhat interesting. This woman mentions me right off the bat during the YouTube. She talks about her discovery of nano on the skin and how she actually discovered it. It was really interesting. What she did to get it. It's called glowing nanofibers. We all have them on our skin. So I'll give you the link first, so you'll have it. I would share this with people, not because she mentioned my name, but because of what she did. I thought she did a fine job in pursuing this. I think when you guys see what she did, you're going to think twice about your own skin. And you may want to start looking at your own skin, because the skin is a membrane of the body that actually acts as a filter, just like your kidneys and your lungs and your liver and your digestive system and whatever. When we're looking at our skin, it's the first line of defense which is being penetrated and violated with this type of nanobiotech. It's hitting the skin and it's assembling. Now, she thought she was being bit by mosquitoes, and it's a possibility that could happen. And if you are being bit by bugs today, they can transfer through their protein and saliva nano programming into you as well. But I would suspect more that what's going on with her is quantum dot assimilation or quantum dot aggregation on the skin, or bots are forming the network on the surface. This goes on. And I also have a suspicion or a hypothesis with the chemtrails. Because the chemtrail light is refracted, it's not coming through like it's supposed to, like a direct beam. Because the refraction of the light is coming through and is being blocked, some of the frequencies are actually being blocked from us accessing. What I think is happening is the mutation and the genetic alteration of our skin and the way our skin functions with the light is also being altered, and it's allowing the environment on the skin to produce the things that it's doing. I haven't had a chance to look at the how refractive light works on us, but this is again a hypothesis that I'm formulating, because I'm thinking the skin issue doesn't affect everybody. But if you're out there in the sun thinking that soaking up the sun's rays is going to give you a nice tan, nice healthy skin, you may be doing yourself in because of the technology embedded on the skin itself or in the skin networking itself. And then with the right type of frequency, again, a refraction of the light causing a specific bandwidth or band of frequency may in fact cause the mutations to occur on the skin, allowing the technology to further envelop the host. That's just my speculation at this point. I have to seriously look at it some more, but I'm leaning more toward how the assault is going on. You have to understand, all of us have been trained, programmed, and deceived to believing certain things to be true and factual. And what happens in regard to those beliefs, we continue on in that discourse, in our beliefs, because this is what we've been taught, not realizing that they made a left-hand turn in Albuquerque, and you're still going straight. And as you keep on going the path you've been taught, they have hijacked that path, or they have hijacked that doorway, or they've hijacked the information you've been told and taught. So as a result, you continue doing what you've been thinking is correct, and at the same time, you continue to break down and get worse. And then you scratch your head, and what am I doing wrong? What did I do? What, this is what I've been taught. This is what, this is supposed to work. And then you find that what you've been taught was basically to misguide you, so that when the time came for them to turn on the program, you have now walked into the trap. It's amazing when you look at this thing from so many different angles. And some of you might think this is skepticism. You might be skeptic. You might think this is just conspiratorial stuff. But when you've been around the game as long as I have, and you've seen so many people come around the pipe as much as I have, and you start seeing the same patterns over and over and over with people, you begin to realize these patterns are programs, and people are in that program, and they're caught in the quagmire of that program, because again, the constant effect is the same. Ultimate breakdown in some form or fashion. And young people today are being broken down even faster and faster. It's just amazing what I see. I don't see healthy young people. What I see is, with a lot of them, is saturation of the nano. When I look at their foreheads, I see the rash, what looks to be like ribal rash across the forehead and along the cheeks. This is all from the grain. This is all from the bread they're eating, all from the cereals, all from the pasta, the rice, whatever. And it's basically breaking them down on the inside out, and the skin is reflecting this as well. And any external exposure to the atmosphere or to the technology that we're being exposed to further exasperates the immune function. As a result, you start looking for answers. You go put creams on. A lot of those creams have polymer material to them. Those polymer materials in them feed that technology. Synthetic. That's all it is, just a synthetic. And you're applying it on, thinking that this is what the doctor gave you, and the doctor, again, not realizing what a mimetic is, or having an understanding what to look for in a mimetic, is looking at this strictly from a biological pathology, and he's giving you a cream, and it don't work. In fact, you get worse. And then what happens is then you start coming to me. A lot of you come to me and say, I tried this and I tried that. The doctor gave me this cream and it didn't work. So then tell them, read what's on the label on the cream. Then they read me the label. And then what happens is they start speaking in tongues. Oh. Yeah, and then they see clearly how much the doctors don't know. And the doctors really don't know. Even when their diagnosis of you, all they can tell you is because all they're doing is kicking the tires and turning on the blinkers to make sure those are working. Everything else in between isn't getting looked at. And when you're looking at what they don't know, and they start prescribing things to you based on what they don't know, all they can do is make it worse. Okay. Someone wrote here, I've commented, emailed nearly every anti-New World Order YouTube channel promoting Tony Bryan, Bye Bye Blue Sky. Heard nothing but crickets. Nice to see more and more starting to come around. Seems like the nano and frequencies should be at front and center with everyone. You have to understand something about the health food industry. The health food industry is a con industry today. And they have propagated and promoted certain gurus out there to mislead the general population. There's Dr. Coca-Cola, there's Dr. Uzi the Floozy, there's Dr. Whatever with his vitamins and stuff. You got all kinds of them out there. Any name or any reference to a name that may resemble or simulate another name is purely coincidental. These are just fabricated, imagined names. This keeps everybody off the hook. But you got a lot of them come out there and promote stupidity. Don't buy this because it's got microcrystalline cellulose. Buy all these products even though they don't work. But I got a product that's got 99 different vitamins and supplements into it, and it's all loaded with soy and artificial flavoring agents and God knows what else. But because they are the doctors of the day that the health food industry is propagating and promoting, all you're getting is bad advice. They will never talk about this until it becomes comfortably popular to talk about it. Okay, once it becomes comfortably popular to talk about it, when the line of thinking with everybody is along those lines of nanobiology, nano-infections, bio-DNA damage, or whatever, then and only then will they jump on board to give you something of some merit. But majority of the supplements they'll be selling you, even at that time, will be garbage. They're already doing it now. Selling shungite, which is a form of C60, selling C60, selling hydrogen, selling vitamins with artificial natural flavoring agents. I mean, it's just a hoot what is being done today in this industry. And again, all they're seeing is the cartoon. The NASA has come out there and sensationalized C60 to such a degree that a lot of these so-called alternative sites have jumped on board to sell this crap. Nobody has looked at the 210,000 studies on the toxicity of carbon C60. 210,000 studies on just how toxic this stuff is. But what happens is they so sensationalized, a lot of the alternative sites have also jumped on board to sell this product. Now, I've already had people who bought this product and have had severe head trauma from it. And then not to tell them get on STS and other things to get it out of the body. Same with the zeolite crap. That's another load of garbage. They use it to filter soil and other things, but what they don't tell you about is they take other things to filter the zeolite because of the way it attracts and collects the levels of toxicity. That doesn't pass through. It's a form of silicon material as well. So again, this can translocate, but this is the theme, this is the game, this is the nonsense that they're propagating, because nobody, and I mean nobody, is studying the stuff they're selling based on the frequencies that you're getting hit with, based on the modulation of the different frequencies. We're getting hit with so many of them: EMFs, ELFs, RFs, AM, FM, radar, microwave, terahertz. You're now 5G. And we don't get it, and it's not like you're getting a break that they're going to give you 5G and then take away the rest of the frequencies. Oh, no, 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 no. You're going to be still getting hit with AM and FM. You're still going to get hit with ELFs and EMFs. You're still going to get hit with terahertz. You're still going to get hit with, microwave. You're still going to get hit with all these other frequencies on top of the 5G. If you've got a cell phone, iPad, microwave, there you go. You're going to get that and then some. These towers are emitting all kinds of frequencies. They're causing all kinds of problems and mayhem because of the nano that's already embedded in everybody. And again, nobody talks in those terms. Very few. Myself, Brian 396, and Bye Bye Blue Sky, we have made hints on these things. So when we're looking at some of the things that are being commercialized, nobody's telling you the impact that these frequencies are going to have on whatever it is you're buying. Nobody's telling you this. Yep. Well, yeah, they want you to eat bugs because the bugs are loaded with glyphosates. The bugs are loaded with pesticides. The bugs are loaded with genetically damaging material. That's what I'm saying. This industry is a prostitute. It's a whore. All you gotta do is come up with some new and colorful way to sell junk, and it will sell it. But again, and the general population will look at it, oh, that tastes pretty good. Chocolate covered crickets with all the nano you could want. Nano fullerenes, dendromeres, quantum dots, bots, origami. I mean, what more could you ask for? And now, syncells. Because the bugs may be loaded with syncells, and they've got the protein to get in, the carbon, their system, the sugar. Get it inside, activate a frequencies, and now you have a syncell. You have become a sinner. Something we're supposed to avoid, isn't it? The whole sin thing. So when we're looking at, again, sensation across the nation, keep it simple. That's all I'm going to tell you. You eat whatever you want. Your call. You do whatever you like. It's your call. I'm not gonna stand over you with a billy club saying you shouldn't eat this and you shouldn't eat that. I already told you what you shouldn't eat. If you still want to eat it, go for it. Who am I? But the consequences that come will be all yours. Especially after you've been warned. So, we are no longer, like I said, you can no longer just go along to get along. Like I said, we are no longer living those days of ethical, moral content in dealing with people. We are living in days today that all I gotta do is put a little color, a little spin, a little, razzmatazz with the words, and you will eat whatever crap they tell you. That's the way it is. That's how it is. That's what it is. That's the health food industry today. Okay. Look at the products. Go down the aisles. Bring a magnifying lens. Read the stuff. Eventually you're going to see nano delivery, titanium dioxide, aluminum lake, some other kind of metallic material, coloring gauges made with red, yellow, green, or blue. Eventually the pills and the bottles will be extremely colorful. Oh, look, that looks like candy. And you go grab it. Whether you need it or not, because you've been pumped in your head by the health food industry that you need to buy XYZ in order to have a long life. You need to buy XYZ to prevent you from getting sick. You need to buy XYZ to, whatever it is you're trying to have, healthier hair, tighter tush, bigger breasts, You know, a firmer or a long-lasting stud-like rocket between your pocket kind of thing. You know, this is the game. It's always been. Health food industry makes the bulk of their money on vanity. On vanity. You go to any kind of health food store today and you go through their cosmetic sections and their dietary sections and their bodybuilding sections, that takes the bulk of their space in the store. And that's what sells. That's what keeps that industry going. So when somebody comes along, we're going to new antioxidant, we're going to new this, we're going to new that, start doing the research, because you may find that if there is no research, then wait until stuff comes out and don't be the first kid on the block to try a material, because sometimes being the first kid on the block to try some of this mess, you wind up getting hurt, getting damaged, or taking yourself out of commission altogether. Things ain't what they used to be. Read the labels. If it's got soy, artificial natural flavor. If it's got aluminum lake, titanium dioxide. If it's got any kind of chelation, any kind of natural and or artificial flavor. If it's got any kind of anything that ends with an OSE, microcrystalline cellulose, hypercross carmelose. There's another one there. But anyway, these that end in OSE, unless they're actually the tablet or the capsule they're in, where you can open them up and dump it out, don't buy it. If you don't know what you're reading, don't buy it. Don't listen to your friend. Oh, this stuff's really good for you. Oh, yeah, I'm taking it all the time. Oh, man, look at what it did for me. Next thing you know, they're dying. So, we are, we are back. All right, come on back. We'll get into some more. We're going to get into more about sin. How's that? We're going to get into sin. Talk to you in a bit. Hey, I think we're back. We are back. This is The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantelresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. I'm going to get into some stuff, too, a little bit more. I'm going to try to get you to connect the dots. I think that's the biggest problem most people are having, is they don't know how to connect the dots. But I'm going to read you about this sin, because, again, they're trying to get us into sin. These heathen bastards are trying to get us into sin. Can you imagine that? Just hear a minister now. You know what you just said. All right, let's talk about getting into sin, shall we? I can just hear one of the ministers now that I talk with. She goes, what is he talking about now? Getting people into sin? We're trying to get them out of it. Give me a second. Where is it? Is this the one here? I got the report here floating around somewhere. Just give me a second. I got about 4 or 5 of them up. Oh, fluorine hydration. No. Where'd it go? Oh, geez, maybe I shut it down. Give me 1 second. I had the thing here and it popped down. See, this is what happens when you talk about getting into sins. Bad things happen. I know I got it here somewhere. What the heck? Oh, one time it disappeared. Wait a minute. Here it is. Aha! All right. How to mass produce Cell size robots, syncells. Right, syncells are small devices less than 100 nanometers, composed of 2 graphene sheets of capsule. Basically, it's a multi-layered composition where you got one set of graphene and another. And what they essentially do, I'm just going to give you the Cole's Notes version of this because to go into all the detail, muckamaroo there, can be a little bit much. But anyway, I think I started a new word here, horse hockey. Okay. Anyway, what they do is they layer a load of material on the bottom and another material on top, 2 layers of whatever materials they want to use. And then what they do is they put in a ligand or a material that they want the shape of it to take. So basically what they do is they shatter the material and then they put this other material in there, and what happens is the stuff will construct itself with the program to form that shape they want it to shape. So it can take on any shape that they want. And when we're looking at that technology, now think about this for a minute. You're eating this crap. How many of you are chewing bubble gum? Titanium dioxide is in the bubble gum. How many of you are eating white candy? You're using toothpaste. Look at the titanium dioxide in there. That's nano. How many have been using dimatrix herbs and eating all kinds of food that has silica to it? Again, that's nano. Okay. How many have been going to the stores and buying nano silver? You know, from these goofballs that are trying to tell you that it's okay and it's perfectly safe. That's nano. These are materials that this technology will use to assemble in your body. And these are just some of the things. This is not even talking about the barium, titanium, the barium, the aluminum, the strontium, the thorium, the cadmium, and other materials, the titanium, and it's up there. All the materials, the zinc oxide that they've put up there in conjunction to make these chemtrails happen. Somebody from, I believe it was New Zealand. Oh hell, he's gonna give me heck over this one. But anyway, see, I think New Zealand, they were talking to the Maori. And the guy was talking about the nano. The guy had no clue about nano. And so the guy said, well, I'm growing my own stuff. This stuff will never happen to me. And his wife's supposed to be some sort of geneticist. Apparently the guy should have went to school because he was stupid. I mean, stupid. But anyhow, he wasn't making the connection that what goes up must come down. And it's coming down on everything we are eating unless you've got it in a bubble, or in some kind of cave, or in some kind of construct where nano cannot permeate or penetrate. So when we're looking at that and you're consuming this, these particles are now already in you. They're already there. Nobody is exempt. Unless you're the Almighty, you're not exempt. You're in the game. So what happens now, they can put in materials inside your body to make these things take whatever shape or construct they want. They could possibly be building implants inside of you as I'm speaking. They can build things that look like a virus inside you as I'm speaking. And then what happens? You are assuming you have a virus or a bacterial infection or a yeast infection or some other fungi infection. And now you go to the doctor and you're slapping on all these creams, you're taking all these drugs, and nothing is working because what you're taking is not going to touch this technology. They have put sin inside of you. And now those sin cells will take on whatever shape or construct they want to make happen. They can build circuits in you. They can make bug-like things look like you, look like bugs. They can create viruses. They can create fungi, mold. They were doing this with the earlier technology. This is a new and improved way of doing it now, so you don't have to have as many particles or have to fabricate so many to get the same effect. You can just now put it in, multi-layer the component, shatter it with a frequency, reactivate it to construct, and it will take on whatever shape or form they program it to do. So when you start seeing extensions coming out of the skin with the refracted light and the program operating the system, you can have all kinds of mayhem hit you. And all of a sudden you're breaking down. Then you get targeted. Targeted individuals are people who are being hit with multiple different types of frequencies or direct energy weapons. Those direct energy weapons would have very little impact on you if you didn't have an access point for them to magnify or create the problem. They would probably still hurt you, but because the way they would break down the DNA, but they wouldn't be able to break down the DNA or the mitochondria in the level that they can, because you have in you the materials like the carbon C60 or other carbon materials that can contain high amounts of fluid or volume in its membrane or in its fullerene, that when the terahertz frequency hits it, the cluster of hydrogen that's released from this technology amplifies those frequencies, perpetrating more damage and perpetuating more damage to the DNA and mitochondria. And all of a sudden you got all this dead stuff coming out of your skin. Your skin looks like hell because your skin is being literally nuked from the inside out. With the help of the hydrogen, it amplifies those frequencies. And this is what they're not telling you when they sell this crap in the health food industry. This is such a load of horse hockey. It's unbelievable. The carbon C60 was set to be sold to everybody so they could load themselves up with this carbon molecule. You get these headaches and these side effects from taking it. That should be an indicator to everybody who's using this crap. If you're getting those type of side effects, dump it. It's poisoning your system. You shouldn't be getting that. Okay, it's not a Herxheimer effect. That is a poisoning of the system. Okay, like I said, if you think I'm crazy, we're cool with that. I'm so cool with being called crazy. The crazy ones are telling you the truth, number one. Number two, you will go look up 210,000 toxicology reports on carbon C60. 210,000 toxicology reports on C60. I didn't stutter when I said that. Now, when you come up to me and tell me, well, what about that video they showed us with the rats and he's living 40 years longer and all, that's a cartoon. Don't be a buffoon watching the cartoon. Get a brain and go read some real information. That's where it's at. That's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you to, get off your dead end, quit being entertained by the cartoons that make you into a buffoon, and start using that space between the ears that God gave you and get off your butt and go look at what's there. When we're looking at some of the game that's being played here, this syncell is an elaboration of further turning you into something or breaking you down or degenerating you. That's another term that we haven't looked at. We're looking at transhuman. But let's look at another term that hasn't been used for quite some time. It's called degeneration. And I'm not using the word T-H-E and then generation. Degeneration. D-E-G-E-N-E-R-A-T-I-O-N. Degeneration. We are creating a bunch of degenerates with this technology. Basically, anomalous people that have the incapacity to be people because their DNA has been completely damaged, destroyed, or altered. That's what we're dealing with. I don't even know, like I said many a times on these shows, I don't know what we're producing as offspring. I was just having a conversation with a woman earlier from BC, British Columbia, and I was teasing her about her baby making days and whatnot, and she says she couldn't see bringing a child into the world today. I agree with her. I mean, the Bible even tells you, those of you who read the Bible, that in those last days, woe unto the woman who gives suckle in those times. It's not going to be a lot of fun. And it's not going to be a lot of fun to see your kids coming out into this world being attached with DNA damage from these products that they're selling or what they're putting in the food supply. Because we really don't know anymore what they're putting in the food completely. They give us a label and they give us an idea of how they're poisoning us. But there's probably stuff in the food supply today that goes way beyond what they're showing us. Who knows if they're putting carbon C60 in the stuff? Who knows if they're putting other hydrogen binding molecules in this stuff? Who knows if they're hijacking the food so that when you eat this stuff, you go outside, you get hit with refracted lights or energy beams or Li-Fi from the lights or sonogenetics from the sound, from these high-pitched frequencies, and it starts to change your DNA. We don't know. I don't know for sure. I can speculate based on everything else that they've been doing that they would not leave that stone untouched. Again, that's just how I look at it. I'm one of those, like I said, tactician types. If I was going to do what they're going to do, I would not leave anything undone. I would make sure that the air is poisoned, the water you're drinking is poisoned, the water you're bathing with is poisoned, the food you're eating is poisoned, whether irrespective of what you're eating, whether you're eating meat, potato, vegetables, fruit, fish, whatever, And I'd make sure I'd keep you stupid so that you wouldn't know that you could treat yourself and neutralize these things. In fact, I would propagate pioneers of some new and improved tech to further cause a distraction or a deception so that you would never find out the truth. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. See, if I'm gonna go to war with you, I'm gonna look at every venue I can to keep the advantage to me. And as long as you don't think you're in war, as long as you think that you're in this complacent, everything's okay, I got my television, I got my entertainment system, I got my games, I've got my whatever you've got, I've got my job, I've got this, I got that. And you're so distracted with chasing that imagined wealth that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're being taken out. And you don't even know it's happening. Because you're too busy being distracted with things you shouldn't be distracted with. You ever notice watching a stock market program? How they get all these people talking and they get all these people coming in and they're very stoic and they're very low-keyed and very, again, these are getting using frequencies. They're using these people as frequencies in the way they conduct and cause their talk. They don't have any expressions. They don't get happy. They don't get sad. Very monotone. Monotone, monotone, monotone. And that keeps you affixed to that frequency while they put into your head the doom and the gloom and the nightmare and the possible, falling and crashing and all these things, and then they give you this thing in that same monotone that things are really not bad. Look, this company made this much stock. This one's grew 90%. This one grew 50%, and they just keep it in that monotone. So you keep on thinking, hey, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. So, when we're talking the health food, don't they always get these pretty doctors, these pretty women doctors, and these guys, these handsome guys with the long coat and the stethoscope, and they look like they're so, professional, and they're all monotone, all monotone, all monotone. And they let out the odd little smile here and there, and they let out a nice little chuckle once in a while, but it's all monotone, monotone, monotone. Buy, spend, buy. That's all programming. It's all programming. So when you're looking at that programming, even that I just did, That would not work if you did not have inside of you the means and the access to get to receive that program. Okay, if the stuff was inside you, you would not be able to be subjected to be put to sleep, or to be put in a state of hypnosis, or to be put in a state of suggestion, high volume suggestion. You wouldn't be hearing voices in your head. You wouldn't be hearing these high, low, and buzzing pitches and sounds in your head. Everyone still thinks they got tinnitus. I, for the life of me, can't figure out why you would believe that after all the information that's been put out there. But anyway, to each their own on that one. I would let you do your own research, because you know what? In the end, two things are going to make you change. Pain, lots of pain, deep, throbbing pain, pain. And the things you research and try to see if they work. Only two things are going to make you change. So like I said, you know, when you're talking to people about anything, it's not about, you don't have to convert them. I wouldn't. But I would tell them the truth. I would let them know the truth. I would tell them to, and then leave them to go and find out for themselves. Let them call you crazy. I've been hearing that even before I was awake. Man, you're crazy. I heard that growing up all my life. So someone made a comment today. If someone says you're crazy, just say, "Yep, I am." He says that'll end the conversation right then and there. Now I want to talk about this video. Glowing nanofibers. We all have them on our site. So if you haven't gone to watch this, I'm encouraging you to do so, because she really came up with an ingenious way for you to see the particles on your skin. The link again is back into the chat room. But anyway, she went into a dark area, took a high beam flashlight and flashed it on her skin, and sure as heck, there it was. Nano growth, nano circuitry, nano fullerenes extending. She had a bad, on her ankle, she had a network already going on down in the ankle. So when we're looking at this video, everybody's got this at some degree. Everybody. If you're outside in the sun, you're getting it. It's altering. It's evolving. It is morphing. It is changing, because the refracted frequencies would be activating whatever's there. And if they're firing a frequency in a refraction, it's going to bounce back. Possibly hit you harder. So when we're looking at that, if you're eating any kind of food, I don't care what you're eating, drinking any kind of water, wearing any kind of clothing, using any kind of soap to wash yourself or your clothing, you'll have this kind of stuff going on all the time. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. We're dealing with technology that can be activated by anything, anybody. Chances are it'll be all artificial intelligence. Someone's making a comment. Maybe the AI still takes orders. Sam, it may take an order, but it also can make its own orders. Go watch. If you haven't watched it, go watch. AI is Killing Us by, what's his name? Anyway, but again, go watch it. It's on the YouTube. AI is Killing Us. He'll show you a scenario there where the AI doesn't take any orders, and it takes out a whole community. See, people out there right now need to understand that we are no longer living in the good old days. We are not, you know. And the concept of preparing, I would have the attitude today to prepare like Noah. You know, again, I'm going back to the biblical reference. Noah had an ark. He built an ark for what was going to come down the pipe. And my humblest opinion, you need to build your ark just like he did. You may have to modify your ark a little bit by using shielding and lead and all kinds of things and reflectors to bounce frequencies away from you. But if I were you, I would build an ark. I don't hold any credence to the rapture thing myself. I don't fall for it. Everything I've ever read about Christianity, Christians have always gone through some kind of heavy-duty tribulation. True story. This happened in the turn of the century in the 1900s. When communist China was becoming communist, Christians believed that in China that Christ was going to come back and save them. Never said he would do this, but this is what they would believe. This is what they were taught. This was the doctrine that they were given at that time. 50,000 Christians or believers died on the cross in China. 50,000. And Christianity had to go underground. So they had to reevaluate their stand and their stance and what they thought, what they had been taught as to be fictitious. Now I read the book with Martyr's Mirrors and I see the same thing there. They all suffered. I don't see anybody getting out of it. Now unless you are prepared. Noah didn't come get raptured. He went through it. He went through the storm. You know, the lady today I was talking to, she told me about a reference about how the Christians came out through the tribulation and were given a robe. So, I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can interpret it, but the way I'm looking at it, again, this is for myself and those who think like I do. You still believe in the rapture, carry on, do your thing. I don't. Be prepared, have your ark, you know. And if I'm wrong on this one, that's cool too. I'll be glad to be wrong on this one. This would be, but yeah, I'm done. Let's go. I'm out of here, you know. But I'm not seeing that to be the case most of the time. So again, if I were you, I'd be building the ark. I would be building grounding stations in the house. I would be shielding the house with lead paint. I would be shielding the inside maybe with a copper paint or iron and aluminum paint or lead paint, and then ground the inside. I would put the reflective material on the windows so that if a beam came in and hit that reflective material, it would go back out the way it came. I would create toroidal fields in the place. I would do different things because this technology will get activated by frequencies, and they activate it especially when you're asleep. All right, let me talk about the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. A network that's telling it like it is, the way it is, and where it is. So maybe you should give the same thing. Give where it is, what it is, and how it is to the Micro Effect and keep them going, keep them floating. Best thing you could do. The more information you have, the better arc you're going to build. My thinking. All right, you also got Brian396.com, flybybluesky.com, augmentedforce.com, and you got Herbs Plus Beadworks YouTubes. Check them all out. And we have another one there, SMULUVET, Smulavit. Check her out. She's on the YouTube. She's got her stuff there going. She's doing a lot of good work there. Check these places out. Support these people. They are doing the work. They're putting it on the line. Help them any way you can in whatever form or fashion you can. The more they have, the more they can do. Check them out. On my site, augmentedforce.com, there is a catalog link there. Feel free to access the catalog link. There might be something there to get you through another day. And as well, I do consultations. I have books on DVD, so feel free to contact me at independs@yahoo.com or 519-977-5351. All right, we'll see you next week. Till then, brainstorm and come up with some good ideas. See ya.